Hello everybody!
And welcome to Dad and Me Love History. Dad and me love a whole lot of history. We could be the greatest team that the world has ever seen. Dad and me love a whole lot of history.
Hey, today we're going to be joined by historian and author Malayna Evans and her daughter Soren. Malayna is an Egyptologist. Guess what that means, James?
She studies about Egyptians.
Yeah, it means she's an expert in Egypt. So, ancient Egyptian civilization was one of the earliest civilizations in world history, and it was the longest lasting. It began around 3000 BC, so that's around 5,000 years ago, and it ended in 30 BC, that's 30 years before Christ, with the death of Cleopatra. So that stretch of history, that's 3,000 years when ancient Egypt was a powerful empire, that 3,000 years, that's longer than the period since Cleopatra's death up to today. Hello, Malayna and Soren, welcome to Dad and Me.
Hi! This is exciting.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us. Hi.
Hi.
So Malayna and Soren, we've done 18 episodes of Dad and Me Love History, but never one on Egypt. What's the first thing we should know about ancient Egypt?
Cleopatra was an Egyptian.
What?
I know, it's true. She was not Egyptian. She was Macedonian Greek. That's a good answer, Soren. She was, however, the first of her family, the Ptolemies, to speak ancient Egyptian.
Oh, okay. So she tell me she was Queen of Egypt.
She was Queen of Egypt, yes.
Okay, we got.
She had people boyfriends. They were mostly Roman, but she was Queen of Egypt.
She liked a Roman boyfriend or two, then.
Yeah.
Why was the pharaoh boastful?
Don't know.
Because he thinks he's the best.
Sphinx, he's the best. Do we know anything about how ancient Egypt got started?
Well, we know a little bit. Around 3100 BC-ish. That's when the country was unified. The Egyptians referred to Egypt as Upper and Lower Egypt. So it was about 3000-ish BC, a little before that, when they were unified. And if you want to know something super creepy about the first dynasty, are you ready?
Yeah.
Are you sure? Because they buried people and animals alive with the pharaohs when they died.
Oh.
Right?
Oh, it's horrible, isn't it?
No. There was a guy named Jagger who had over 300 people buried with him. Yikes.
Why don't mummies take vacation?
Don't know.
They're afraid to relax and unwind.
So how did you become an expert on ancient Egypt?
I loved the idea of gods and goddesses. Like, I was super interested in that thought. So that drew me to study Greek history and Roman history and eventually Mesopotamian. And then I finally found my true love, which was ancient Egypt. Because ancient Egypt is crazy weird. And, well, I might be a little bit weird.
We love history. We love history, baby. We love history.
So, James, to find out about any time in history, us historians, like all four of us are here, we need to find things that come from that time that we're studying. And we call that primary evidence of what things were like back then at the time. And preferably not only objects. We often find out a lot when we find things which were written at the time. And Malayna, do historians have much written evidence that survived from ancient Egypt?
We have a lot, and that's because they wrote on all sorts of things. Partly, we have some towns that have inscriptions, lots of statues. We have lots of papyrus, which was like an early form of paper. They don't always survive so well intact, so some sections will be lost, but we have them.
What about tombs?
Yeah, we have tombs. Some tombs survive really, really well, and people wrote lots about themselves in their own tombs, so that helps.
Did the Egyptians invent writing by drawing?
Yeah, they kind of did. Writing starts around 3000 BC-ish. It starts around the same time in both Egypt and Mesopotamia. But the first examples of hieroglyphs date to a few hundred years before that. Ancient Egyptians thought writing was magical, actually.
Do you think writing's magical, James? Well, I wish writing was magic. I've written 2 books, each about 90,000 words long. I could have done with a bit of magic there.
Right? Hey, as hard as writing a book is for us, it would have been a lot harder for an ancient Egyptian. There were hundreds of different hieroglyphs. We only, of course, have 26 letters. And hieroglyphs can be read any direction. You can read them left to right to left, up to down.
You shared with us, and we'll have it on our webpage, a kind of a line of drawings of hieroglyphs. Can you talk us through this?
Yeah, what that says is E-E-T-N-E, Aha, and Ma'a Nefrui. Hey, you see the guy in the middle with his hands up?
Yeah.
He's a rare hieroglyph, but he's easy to remember because he's saying Aha. So do you know what that says, Soren? Do you remember what that one says?
Welcome to me, rejoice in seeing my beauty.
That's right.
Welcome to me, rejoice in seeing my beauty. When Mum gets back from shopping, we'll have to say that. Welcome to us, rejoice in our beauty.
How do brave Egyptians write?
I don't know.
With hieroglyphs.
Hieroglyph. To be a proper ancient civilization, don't you also need lots of gods and goddesses? They all seem to have them. The Romans, the Greeks, the Aztecs. And did the Egyptians have many?
They had loads of gods and goddesses. There were maybe 100 that were consistently worshipped over all that long time. Lots of the gods and goddesses can be shown as human-shaped, but often the same can be shown with, say, animal heads or as part animal, usually with human bodies and animal heads, so they can be shown a lot of different ways.
Who are your most favorite Egyptian gods?
Well, my personal faves are probably the tree goddesses, who are shown as part woman and part tree.
We're looking at pictures of those now. So the pictures we're looking at, the goddess of the tree, how would you describe this, James?
Her waist upwards is normal, and then it's just a trunk with a bunch of
Branches?
branches on it.
Yeah, so her waist downwards, like she doesn't have legs, she has a tree trunk for legs and then branches coming out of her sides.
Yeah, there were a lot of weird gods in it, gods and goddesses, but also I like the gods, some of those household gods, because they were used by like regular people for regular old challenges we still have today. Like there were gods you would go to if you had a toothache, or a different god you would go to if you needed money, or if you wanted to find a boyfriend.
I've heard the Egyptians were pretty good at magic.
What sort of magic?
Well, they used spells and magic for dealing with problems like health problems, or if they got in trouble, they would use spells for all sorts of things.
Now, it does sound cool. This episode, we're talking about whether ancient Egypt was crazy or cool. This sounds pretty cool, but it also sounds a bit crazy.
Did their magic work?
You know, it actually kind of did. Doctors would combine medicines with spells. And there's some evidence that the medicines ancient Egyptians worked would be effective, that they really would work. And if people believed the spells made them even more effective, well, I don't think that could hurt, right?
So maybe the ancient Egyptians weren't so crazy as we might first think. All the ancient kingdoms had gods. What they didn't all have, in like Rome or the Aztecs or in Greece, were the coolest looking buildings ever built.
Pyramids!
Yeah, that's right. The pyramids were built about 5,000 years ago during the Old and Middle Kingdoms.
Did you know there are over 100 pyramids?
Wow, over 100.
Most were built as tombs for the pharaohs and their queens. The Great Pyramids of Giza are the most famous. The Great Pyramid is actually one of the 7 wonders of the world.
Cool.
All of the pyramids were built on the west bank of the Nile because that's the site of the setting sun, and the Egyptians saw that as the realm of the dead. People used to think the Nile was the longest river in the world.
I looked this up earlier. Google told me the Nile is the longest river in the world.
Yeah, you know what? I'm with Google. But depending on how you measure it, things like tributaries and estuaries and things that go into and out of rivers, sometimes the Amazon is ranked number 1 and the Nile's number 2.
Right, okay, so those tributaries, that's like kind of like branches that come off the rivers, depends if you add all those up. I get it.
There's like a narrow shaft, kind of like a tunnel, that goes from the burial chamber of the Great Pyramid, and it goes through the entire pyramid, pointing towards the night sky where the Egyptians believed the gods lived. And then inside the pyramids, there's very little like space where the kings were buried, and there's inscriptions all carved into the walls that were like the instructions for the king, so he would know what to do, so he would escape and get to heaven correctly.
Wow, that's cool.
Egyptians, even regular Egyptians, would spend more time and money in their tombs than on their homes. Life is short, but death is forever.
There's a logic to that.
It sort of is. So inside people's tombs, they would be filled, even regular people's, the pharaohs, anybody's tomb, if you had enough money to have a nice tomb, they were filled with magic spells and artwork and all sorts of magical things that would help you in your afterlife.
What sort of things?
Well, things like there were little carved people that would do your work for you. They were like the worker bees. And on the walls, you might carve people, and they would come to life in the afterworld and do your work for you. And people would leave inscriptions, and it would say, "Hey, James, if you come by, please leave me bread and beer, because I'm really hungry in the afterworld." And so when you would go to visit, you would leave bread and beer.
What about mummies?
Yeah, mummies. Cool or crazy?
Cool.
Right. So they developed mummification so that it would preserve the bodies. You know why they want the bodies to look as much like they do in life?
No. Why?
So that, they want to look good in their afterlife.
Oh, okay, that makes sense, yeah. You don't really want to walk around with your face falling off.
So it became a really complicated process over time. There were lots of priests that worked full time to mummify a body. A good mummification could take up to 70 days. They would remove the internal organs, and which is basically all the wet, slimy bits inside of you, they would take out, and they would put salt in your body to kind of dry you out, wrap you up in linen strips. It was complicated.
Yeah, it sounds it.
Why did they make animals into mummies?
Your mummy's already a bit of an animal.
Well, actually, there were a couple of reasons. One, just to let pets go to the afterworld with them. Egyptians actually loved their pets, and sometimes it was to provide food for the dead in the afterworld, or it might be offerings to specific gods and goddesses. And sometimes because the animal was closely associated with the particular goddess.
We have 2 crazy cats. Why did Egyptians love cats so much?
Because cats are awesome.
That's right. Oh my. Cats are awesome, but Egyptians are just smart enough to get that. And maybe also because cats were pretty associated with some equally awesome goddesses, like Bast or Sekhmet. Sekhmet's kind of cool because she has a nice cat side and also a fierce cat side.
We love history. We love history, baby. We love history.
It's been fascinating hearing your expertise on ancient Egypt. James, is there anything else you want to know about Malayna's book?
What's your book about?
Well, it's about two Southside Chicago kids that get thrown back in time to ancient Egypt, to the weirdest period of ancient Egypt. And I took the normal boy saves princess story and I made it very Egyptian. So it's not her life Jagger Jones saves, but her afterlife.
Whoa.
And there are also giant crocodiles and killer scorpions and, the basics.
Well, yeah. I mean, I can't say there are any killer scorpions in the books I've written, but that's probably where I'm going wrong. So remember, you can find out more, everyone, on MalaynaEvans.com, and the link to that is in our show notes and on our website, dadandmelovehistory.com. Bye, Malayna.
Bye, Soren.
Bye, Dad and James. Thanks for having us.
So, James, what do you think? Were the ancient Egyptians cool or crazy?
Both.
Why'd you say that?
Because they did weird stuff.
Weird stuff like the magic spells?
Yeah.
Or, and that the weird stuff, is the weird stuff cool or is the weird stuff crazy?
Crazy.
Well, that's it from Dad and me, and from Malayna and Soren. Thank you again.
Hey listeners, don't forget to share this pod on Facebook, please.
And Instagram.
And Twitter.
Do your friends a favour. Help make their car journeys to school more fun and informative. Tell them about
Dad and me love history. Dad and me love a whole lot of history. We could be the greatest team that the world has ever seen. Dad and me love a whole lot of history. Here are 8 questions to see if you were listening. Question 1. Where was Cleopatra from?
Question 2. Why were pyramids built? Meaning, what were they used for?
Question 3. When were the pyramids built?
Question 4. What might people have left at a tomb as a gift for the afterlife?
Question 5. Name the 2 longest rivers in the world.
Question 6. What's a hieroglyph?
Question 7. Tell us one reason why Egyptians love cats.
And finally, question 8. How long could mummification take? How long did it take to mummify a body? So Malayna, you've written a book about Egypt.
Is it a book for kids?
It is a book for kids. I hope you like it. It's good for 11. Would you say 11-year-olds? You're 11, Soren? Yes. 11, 10, 12, 13. That's about the age range.
So why did you write it?
Well, actually, again, everything happens at 9 years old. Apparently, that's an important age. When my son, Soren's big brother, was 9, he told me that someone should write a book about a kid who looked like him, lost in ancient Egypt. So I did. And now he's 16, and he's also 6'2".
Well, okay, James is 9 now, so I'm bracing myself for whatever's going to happen next, if that's the age everything happens. We have 2 crazy cats. Oh, sorry.
Can you hear my dog barking?
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah, don't worry about it. We often have our cats meowing on here. Give us something to put in the outtakes. Do you want to swap seats? You're cold, right? I'm hot. Swap seats.
Yeah.
Egyptians thought amulets were magical, so in my book, they really are magical. So in Jagger Jones, Jagger and his little sister Arya discover an old Ankh amulet. Ankh sort of looks like a cross with a loop on the top. So they discover an Ankh amulet early in the book that sends them back through time.
And don't you have one very close to you now? In fact, it couldn't be any closer to you. An amulet?
the book is titled Jagger Jones, the Mummy's Ankh. So I got an Ankh tattoo, and you will not believe it, but I sold the book right after I got that tattoo.
Wow.
It worked out well.
Brilliant. Okay, maybe there's something in this Egyptian kind of magic.
Usually with human bodies and animal heads, so they can be shown a lot of different ways.
Yeah, I can see them.
Okay, let's go. Here are some questions for... No, what do we normally say? Sorry.
Here are some questions to see if you were listening.
Yeah. Do you want to do that?
Here are 8 questions to see if you were listening.
Cue theme music.
Dun-dun-dun.
Cool.